One point or 12.1% above forecast. If you compare the year over year earnings, it's more like a 16% year over year increase. It's quite robust. And if you look year to date, which is down at the bottom, we have a year over year increase to date of 7.8%. And compared to forecast, we are up by almost 2%. So basically what this says, you see in the numbers here, we're about 300,000 ahead of where we thought we would be at this point in time pre-COVID. And that is a very surprising place to be, given everything that all of the economists have been talking about since the pandemic began and all of our businesses were shuttered. So what this looks like in the graphs, here are the graphs that I've shared with you before. This is the actual amount of money coming in. It is on a upward trajectory here. Here's the drop. And here is the year over year change. And what you see is a V shape. Here we took a severe drop and it's coming back. So the real question is, will it continue on that type of a trend? Will we continue to see our year over year increases come in up here, or will it drop down into that V shape? And here is, this is dated now, but it gives you the general feel for what recovery might look like. Here's a V-shaped recovery. This appears to be where we're at. Or is it going to take a downturn as this predicted, which would come in Q4, still ahead of us, before we go on with the recovery, a constant recovery. I am joining a webinar tomorrow where this picture will be updated. So come Monday, I'll be able to give you more information on that. So part of what we've been talking about is Thurston County really unique, or is this what the rest of the state is experiencing? And the Department of Commerce has just released in the last week an economic recovery dashboard. One of the items on that is sales tax receipts across the state. So one of the things you have to keep in mind is that this reflects total county revenue, not only Thurston County receipts. So this includes all of our jurisdictions within Thurston County. But what you see here is, and this is only through June, this is the most recent data that the Department of Commerce has extracted from the Department of Revenue. So we'll keep updating this as new months come in. But what you see here is, here's Thurston County, that in the 3 months ending in June, Thurston County lost 4% of total taxable sales. Whereas other counties, if you look at King County, they lost 23%. Skamania County lost 30%. Not sure which county is over here that lost 67%. This looks like Spokane was up 64%. So really, our experience in Thurston is kind of mid-road and not hit as hard as other counties along the I-5 corridor. So that is very interesting to see. And when you're talking on WASAC calls with your colleagues across the state, you're hearing their duress, but we're not seeing that here in Thurston County. When you look at only retail sales, the retail trade, this is what the state looks like. Thurston up by 6% for that same time period, not doing as well as some other counties. Still, the counties to the north of us, King, this would be, I think this is Skagit. These counties up here not doing well, but most of the state actually doing pretty well when it comes to the retail trade. And Thurston also seeing that strong retail trade. And again, this is county-wide, including all of our jurisdictions. I haven't had time to really dive into this. We'll have more information for you by sector within our county on Monday, but I thought this would be an interesting look. And, you know, we've been saying, is Thurston really unique? Well, in some ways, yes. Yes, we are. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or open the discussion now about sales tax.
Well, I know we're gonna have a ton of questions for you, but I'm gonna start right now with mine first, and only because it'll help me set in my head, I'm sure, all the other questions that the commissioners have. Does it take an entire quarter then to determine whether a V is going to turn into a W, or a W, can a W turn into an L, I would think.
So the economy can take all kinds of turns. We could have a Q shape, for all we know.
Oh, I hope not.
Let's do a roller coaster loop-de-loop. It is 2020, but what I would tell you is that anyone who works with data will tell you that 2 data points does not make a trend. You really need 7 data points to establish a trend. That's like a standard in data analysis. And we tend to, just as humans do, we want to take the most recent number and say, oh, look, it's better, or oh, look, it's getting worse. We really need to look at numbers over time. So even one quarter won't really give us a trend, but it is an indicator of where we might be going.
I see that with the W, you bounce back when everything reopens, but it can drop again with unemployment and business failure and the loss of tourism.
That's exactly right.
With Disney and Disney World laying off about 25 or 28,000 people, and even the airline industry with their proposed layoffs, which impacts where you park your car in the car lots. It impacts the food delivery folks. It impacts so many. One person is going to impact about 6 to 10 different supporting businesses, and we don't know where that's going yet. But that seems to be what the W indicates, where it could drop because of unemployment and business failure and loss of tourism. If we have another spike and/or the flu and a spike, or some other unforeseen circumstance happens.
Right. If we truly hit a second wave of COVID and we have to shut everything down again, that would definitely push us into a more of a W-shaped recession.
A W or a V, say an L?
Well, I'd at that point I'd call it a W, because if you look, we've already hit a bounce back.
Yeah.
So if we drop down again, it's going to look like a W to us.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Menser, questions?
The only question I have on this piece is just sales tax. I mean, we're talking about it as it seems like we're talking about it as the what's the word I'm looking for? The the lead indicator of the economy. And I guess I'm just wondering, is that true? I mean, I know it's a piece of our county revenue, so it has some special importance. But I took a few economics classes in college, and we never studied sales tax as the important way to evaluate the health of the economy or the direction of the economy. So I guess I'm just wondering, like, are we focused on this because it's the best thing that connects to a prediction of our overall revenue? I know property tax has been typically more stable, and then we have a whole bunch of other pieces to our budget that are related to state grants and et cetera, et cetera. Motor vehicle taxes and things like that. So I guess I'm just for my own benefit and the public's benefit. I mean, is this the whole story about what we need to be concerned about? If sales tax is good, then close the doors, spend the money, we're all good. Or should we be looking at a broader picture of economic indicators to inform our decisions?
So as we go into budget development, I will give you a broader set of indicators, both of economic health, unemployment being the leading indicator that government tends to look at. But there are a number of indicators. And then we'll look at other revenue streams and what's going on with them. We tend to focus on sales tax because it is the second largest revenue stream into the general fund. I don't use it as an indicator of economic health. It is the discussion is more of how is the health of the economy affecting our sales tax revenue, and we focus on sales tax because it is roughly, I think, about 18%. I'd have to check that number, but it's roughly 18% of our general fund revenue, and it is the most volatile of the general fund revenues. So property tax is the largest source of revenue in the general fund, but it is pretty stable. And we'll talk about property tax in a minute for a whole different reason. But we focus on sales tax because if I go back up to this table, a 2% gain is about $300,000. A 9% loss would have been $3 million that you would not have available to spend. So it is a significant impact on your general fund. That's why we spend a lot of time on it.
You mentioned unemployment, and the scariest thing I've seen during this whole pandemic was those initial couple months of unemployment claims for Thurston County, which were like 1,400 times normal or something unbelievable. And I know unemployment has dropped. I think what I heard, and I think this may be nationally, it was kind of down to the 8 or 9%, which is still high, but but a lot better than it was there for a while. So it's still concerning, even though it's dropping. Is that still your sense of Thurston County situation? Is that in line?
Yes, that absolutely is. If I could take just a moment.
Yeah, I have a question.
Pull up while I'm pulling this here's the recovery dashboard. I'll put it on my screen. Stop sharing, and now I'm gonna share this other screen. So here's the new economic recovery dashboard of the Department of Commerce. And what I'm looking for. Here's the claims by week. Where's the unemployment?
I think it was on the
I know
first
that-
tab.
Unemployment was on the first tab.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Washington employment, that's where you are? Oh, that's where you are.
This is employment
By
by
industry.
industry.
Yeah.
I thought it had the unemployment rates on it. Apparently, I need to get much more comfortable with this particular
Dashboard.
item, but it's Thurston is we are dropping in line with the national numbers. We are once again in a somewhat better position than a lot of our state. And the real question is, are those unemployment numbers going to continue to drop? Or again, are we going to be pushed back into a situation where we have to shutter our businesses and, increase the unemployment?
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
I can't imagine Commissioner Edwards has any questions. Do you, Gary?
Oh, maybe just one or
Okay,
two.
you're on.
On pages 8 and 9, is this the county plus the city in each one of these counties and the information contained therein?
Pages 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the entire county, including all jurisdictions. This is off the Department of Commerce dashboard that I just showed you.
Do
They don't have it broken down by jurisdiction.
they do not have it broken down as far as municipalities?
Not in this dashboard.
No, but I mean, do they have that information? I mean, I think what's going to be crucial to our decision-making process is the uniqueness of the counties versus the cities. And I'd like to see that breakdown. It'll give us a little better understanding. I mean, I see here, right here in our area, Mason County and Lewis County are similar onto what we're doing. But I think it's crucial that we know the difference between what went on in the municipalities and what went on in unincorporated county.
Right, I agree, and that is something we're working on breaking down. It's not a simple thing to draw the data by jurisdiction. So we're working with data from the Department of Revenue. We should have information on that next week.
I thought I had seen in prior reports where they had each one of the cities they showed, and I don't recall if they had the counties or not, but we could just deduct from the cities, and then we'd know what was left that the counties would be showing, because I think there's going to be a big disparity there.
Hey, Gary, what you're, I don't know if you're suggesting this or not, but when it shows with the screen that's up now, 6% in retail trade, it could be much lower for the county than for the cities, or vice versa, which gives us a more real picture.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm referring to. That point in time or that point in destination sale is going to make a big difference for our projections.
Thank you. Go ahead. You have more questions?
Got more questions?
No, I'm going to just let it go at that for now.
I have one more question, Robin. That is Thurston County faring better than many other counties because we're the seat of government, state capital here?
I would say that
That'll leap.
that is something of a leap. I mean, if you look across the state, some counties that are not the seat of state government are faring better than we are. When it comes to the retail trade, and then if you look at the overall, maybe not as good. Um, what what I've noticed in prior recessions is that Thurston County tends to lag behind the state in impact, and I would suggest to you that one reason for that might be that it takes government a while to act. So the leading edge of layoffs doesn't necessarily come in Thurston County. But with the improving economy, we might not see that come in this particular economic downturn. So I think that there is maybe some advantage to being the state capital county, but to what extent I couldn't tell you.
Okay, thank you. Anything more, Ty? Nope. Okay. Go ahead, Robin.
Before you leave the subject,
Yeah.
I know that Robin is going to move into the next item on the agenda this morning. This morning, you receive an email from a citizen related to the sales tax and the property tax levy. So since that email threatened litigation against the county, I have a scheduled at 10 o'clock executive session with Elizabeth so she can walk you through the particulars of that matter.
Oh.
All right, good, thank you.
Okay. It's news. So I do want to just share one more slide. This may be the slide that you were talking about, Commissioner Edwards, where we show the different jurisdictions within Thurston County, and what our revenue is, with Thurston being this bright blue line here, and Olympia being the dotted yellow line right above us.
Do I have that in my packet?
So this
Is it
is
here?
a slide that I had prepared in July, and this information is something that your staff put together for you. It's not just available, so it takes us some time and some effort to put this information together. We're trying to have this for you next week,
Okay.
but you have this from the July presentation. So we are trying to get that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that's where we're at today. And I'm trying to figure out how to get out of the slideshow now. Aha. Okay, so the next thing I'd like to talk to you about this morning is property tax. Property tax, as you know, is something that we, each year, the board has the authority to increase property tax by 1%. And then we add a few things to that. The new construction value is taxed. That's worth roughly this year about $700,000. We add refunds. We adjust for state utilities. So there's a few adjustments above the 1%, but the increase in property tax is limited by state law to 1%, or this is the part that you don't hear me talk about often, or the IPD, that is the implicit price deflator, whichever is less. Well, someone told me just this morning that 2020 is the year that just keeps on giving. And one of its most recent gifts is the IPD coming in at less than 1%. So the next two documents in your packet are the documents related to property tax and the IPD. So let's see if I can share these particular documents. Here is the letter that we've received from the Department of Revenue. It was sent to our assessor and forwarded to me by the assessor's office. That says that the rate of inflation, most people are accustomed to talking about the CPI or the Consumer Price Index when we talk about inflation rates. There's this much less known rate called the IPD, or the implicit price deflator. I'm not the person who can tell you what that is or what the difference is between it and the CPI. All I can tell you is, I would look it up on Google like anyone else. And we could certainly do that. But the point of this conversation is that the Department of Revenue has calculated the IPD rate that we can use for property taxes. And instead of a 1% increase, we are limited this year to a 0.602% increase. So basically, if we use a 1% increase for property tax, we would get roughly $400,000 increase in our property tax revenue. Instead, with the limitation of the IPD being below 1%, if we raise it by the legal limit, our property tax increase would be $240,000, or roughly we lose about $160,000. So that is the effect of the IPD being below 1% this year. However, the law allows for the county commissioners to make a resolution of substantial need. And I have a copy in your packet of the one that was done, I think in 2016. The board passed a resolution of substantial need. That was the last time that the IPD was below 1%. And we actually would have passed the resolution in 2015 for the 2016 tax year. And I will share that. So here it is, and it's very simple resolution where really all the board does is say that due to the maintenance and operational expenses, there is a substantial need for Thurston County to increase our property tax levy by the full 1% allowed by law. So you would pass this resolution, and then we would continue on with raising the property tax by 1%. And again, that's worth around roughly $400,000 in the general fund. The limitation also applies to the property taxes collected for the road fund, conservation futures, and Medic One. So as you consider if you would like to adopt a resolution of substantial need, you need to consider if you want to do that for each of the four funds where the main revenue stream is property tax. So that's, here's the resolution of substantial need. I didn't realize I hadn't actually clicked on it. This document is in your packet. But that's where we're at with the property tax increase. So what questions can I attempt to answer for you about this?
I'll start with you, Gary. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, could I see you've given us a copy of, or a partial copy of something here on this resolution. Could we see the one that's actually the resolution with the number and signed by whom and when and all that kind of stuff? This is just a form we're looking at. And I would like to see what those other funds that you mentioned, what the impact would be on those other funds if we did or did not do whatever is being proposed.
Right. I can calculate the exact impact on each of the funds and have that for you on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, you make it clear on the 1% versus the 0.6%, so that's fine on that particular amount. But I'd like to see how it impacts the other funds as well.
Right.
And for now, I guess that's all I'm interested in. And when is the time frame that we would have to take this action? It looks like a prior board took that action on November 24th of 2015, if that is correct here.
That is when this was run, and I will get you the signed version from this year. We also did the same in 2015, so I can get you both of those. The action needs to be taken before you adopt the levy increase, which you must do no later than November 30. So you need to decide, and actually you need to make the decision if you're going to do this. I'm looking at a calendar now. We have to publish the property tax notice. We'll be doing that no later than November 10th. So I would need for you to make this decision by the end of October so we can prepare the documents that have to be published. So you've got this month to determine if you would want to do the increase, and if so, by how much.
Okay, from my perspective, I'd like to see the total package about, I'm not as, well, I am interested in what the projection was for the 2021 budget, or the 2020 budget, I guess, what the projected income on sales tax was, and what the actual income up until that particular point when we make that decision. So we can see what we're looking like as far as actual revenue coming into the county, even though it's a different source besides property tax. I'd want to take all that into consideration. So I guess I need more information. You've heard me say that before, that I always need more information.
Commissioner Menson? Go ahead, Ty.
So we could potentially do the 4 funds that you made reference to. We could treat them differently. So for example, we may say, well, the sales tax is so robust and it looks really healthy, and we're gonna not ask for the substantial need, but we know the road fund is, in a different situation. It's on a poor trajectory and underfunded, and I guess, okay, so you're nodding your head, so I'm taking that as a yes. We could do it for the road fund, but not for the general fund or the conservation futures.
Correct.
Okay, and we could say, salmon recovery is failing in Puget Sound, so we really can't, we have to do it for the conservation futures. But we don't necessarily need to do it. Okay. And
Yep.
then in terms of if we did a resolution like that, is there any scrutiny? How, for example, this one says general maintenance and operation. And you get in trouble if you pass a resolution like this, but then you also fund new programs or hire new sheriff deputies or whatever. And then the state auditor says, you said that this was for maintenance operation, but yet you started a new clean energy program. So clearly you, or whatever,
All
it's
of
pretty
that is
much,
considered maintenance and operation.
okay.
So
All right.
it does not have to be only at the current level of spending.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions. And the timing, I had the same timing question, but you answered that.
We're going to come back to this again, aren't we, in the future?
Oh, yes, we're going to visit this a few times.
Okay, I will defer to those times for my questions. Thank you. Anything else, Gary?
No, I think that's good for now.
Okay, Romero, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, Robin.
So the third thing that we had hoped to do with you this morning was to review the binders. But I don't have a copy of the binder to give you yet. We're still working on assembling those. What I will tell you is that when we do the presentations next week, one of the documents that you'll see in the binder is a list for each office and department of the policy level requests that they're going to be making. And I'm going to see if I can pull one up on my screen. But basically what's going to happen during these presentations is each office and department will go through a little PowerPoint about their office. Talk about, here's my budget, here's how it's changing this year, these are my challenges, and here are my policy level budget requests that I'm asking the board to fund. And how they should talk about how those budget requests address the challenges of their office. You will have a list of those policy level requests, and it's going to look like this. No, it's not going to look like that. I'm trying to find a copy that I can share with you. I'm going to share this screen. It's not going to look exactly like this, but this will be close. So here's a list of the policy requests from Public Works, for example. And Jennifer will be going down and saying, so the Public Works is requesting funding for the Black Lake Special District special assessment in the Parks and Trails program, because if the Black Lake assessment is passed, we'll owe more in property taxes. So that's what's going to be happening in the room. And here's what I am asking you three commissioners to do. As you hear the proposals, I'm asking you to, on your page that we'll give you, rank the proposal high, medium, or low. This is just your initial reaction to the request. Is it a high priority to you to fund this proposal? Is it a medium priority? Or do you consider this particular request a low priority? And what I'm going to do, just as we go, just, there's not going to be time for you to discuss these, your rankings. There will be time for you to discuss the requests with your offices and departments. But just note it on the form, high, medium, low. I'm going to collect these from you at the end of each session. And what staff will do is take them and create a table that say, this, the Long Lake Management District request got 3 high priorities, or it got 1 high and 2 lows. And I'll put them in a ranked list order so that when you go through, if you decide as a board to do a line-by-line assessment of what you want to fund, you're going to have an initial reaction of what was high, medium, and low priority for funding. It's not that you won't be able to change your vote. And when I'll give you your own personal list back so you won't lose any of your notes. But it gives you a place to start the conversation. You can change your priority if you wish during budget deliberations, and we can talk about them. But if something gets 3 low priority assessments, then you know right away that you don't want to spend a lot of time as a board discussing that. It'll just give us a tool as we move forward through the process as you start to think about what you want to fund.
Now, Robin, what I would enjoy or benefit from would be not being limited to high, medium, or low. If something might be, this is a high priority. Well, it's a priority, but it's like a low it's a medium priority, if that makes sense. Because some type of a rating in there, because something might be a pretty good priority, but if everything's a priority, nothing is, right? But have some type of that's just me. I don't know what my seatmates think for rating. 1, 2, and 3 is you get right to the point. You do that, yes. But I don't know. Let me get my seatmates' feeling on that.
I have just maybe a follow-up on that.
Go ahead.
If we're going to proceed that way, at this point, I'm not crazy about it, mainly because of what you've just laid out. But maybe a 1 through 10, or I don't know, something that would give us that breakdown that you're referring to, Hutch.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
Well, I think that to make that work between 3 different heads, people, like you kind of have to put some sideboards, like direct us to allocate a roughly equal number of highs, mediums, and lows. Because I could put everything high that I want and a few things low, and then I'm tweaking the system in my benefit. And we saw that on another scoring thing we did, I think, on docket priorities. So we kind of have to set sideboards and say, okay, each commissioner is directed to roughly, not identically, but roughly put a third of the lowest priority, a third of the medium, and a third of the high. And then at least we're comparing apples to apples. But the caveat with that is just because something got 3 lows doesn't mean we don't want to fund it. We might want to fund more than 2/3 of the request if we have the money. So it would just be a guidepost. It couldn't be a disqualifier.
That is exactly right. It gives a place for you to start the conversation. And I'm not asking you to trust me, but I am asking you to kind of go with me. We did this here at the county for about 5 years. None of the 3 of you were in office at the time we were doing this, because when we switched to the priority process, we weren't doing this. But now that we're going back to line item by line item, we need some way to rank them. The 1 through 10 is too much nuance.
Okay.
you'll get lost in it. Do you pick a 4 or a 5 or a 3 or an 8? And limiting you to a third in each, I've got no way to regulate that. So if you'd like to agree amongst yourselves that you'll try to give an equal number to each, that's great. But what I'm asking for is a knee-jerk reaction, and you will see everything with the 3, I don't want to call them votes, but again, it's just an initial reaction. You're not limited. If something's at the bottom of the list, you can move it to the top after you discuss it or get more information. It's just a way to move forward.
Yeah, I like what Ty kind of offered or proffered with that. But will the list when we get them have approximate dollar amounts to those?
Yes.
They will. Because if something is a low priority, and it's been a low priority for years, but it takes minimal funding, that may change. That may change my mind depending on what it is.
You might rank that medium.
Okay, so I can live. I can do the 1, 2, 3. I can do that. I just didn't like being limited.
Yeah, I just
I
like to.
understand. You're not married to it.
So I just
Go
like
ahead.
to follow up. This is the initial reaction the staff is asking you to do is not going to be binding you to the final decision, and we're not going to take an average of your, because each point, each item will be discussed among yourselves, and the majority of the board will decide on each item when the time comes. Just remember, the task ahead is going to be rough and difficult, because the overall policy level request on the general fund is $6.5 million or thereabouts. So by default, you will not be able to fund all of them. So we're trying to find a way as to how we can facilitate the conversation on your decision-making process, because it is going to be difficult. So yes, the high, medium, and low may be constrained in a way, but it's on a starting point, and your first reaction, I think, is going to be valuable for us to capture that.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll take all the top priorities of the 3 commissioners, and we'll do this exercise again, I would imagine. Of those top priorities, which one are the highest priorities, perhaps?
You most likely go item by item, yeah.
We'll put it in a funnel.
As we go through budget deliberations, you will look at every item many times.
Okay. Any other questions, Gary or Ty?
No, sir.
Nope. Okay. Good. Anything else, Robin?
Nope, that's it for me for today. Thank you for your time this morning.
Patty, thank you for joining us. You've been a wealth of information. Thank you.
She's doing a lot of work on our behalf. So.
Well, I don't doubt that, at least. All right, then we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and we'll come back.
Yeah, maybe we can use the same Zoom meeting for you to announce the executive session. Let me give you the information.
Okay. Bye, Patty.
Go ahead. Hey, Robin, I've got a binder here that you started for us at the beginning of the year called Budget Topics or whatever. You're talking about a different binder that you're going to come up with? Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole new binder. With that got sidetracked by COVID.
Yeah, I understand.
We'll start again on that next year with a new board member.
Asked for that during the budget.
I have it, Reno.
I don't think he needs it right now.
Device agenda?
That's not, I'm passing out the agenda. Okay.
How long is it gonna be, Ramiro?
About how long?
30 minutes.
Okay, then I'm gonna
Okay.
turn off.
Yeah. So we're going to go 30 minutes on this, Commissioner?
Yes. Yep.
And then we'll